Hello, light workers. Welcome to Heal Yourself Therapies. I'm very excited to be here with Laurence Gallienne. Gallienne? Yeah, is that what?
Galian. Yeah,
Gallienne. Laurence
yes, yes.
Gallienne. Laurence is coming all the way from Mexico. That's right. Yeah, you're in Mexico at the moment?
Yes, yes, in Puebla, Mexico.
In Puebla. And
Mm.
so we're going to have a chat for about 20 minutes or so, and we'll get a chance to meet Laurence. He's a very interesting man. So, first of all, Laurence, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Laurence?
Well, first of all, it's just so exciting to be here. It's a real pleasure to be talking to you. I'm a person that I've just all my life, especially when I was very younger, I had a deep, deep devotion to God. And that's just the only word that I had for it, because I was brought up a Roman Catholic, 12 years of private Roman Catholic school, and but I studied briefly for the priesthood. I wanted to become a monk. I really like that idea of contemplating, being close to God, and being close to nature at the same time. Nature has always played a big role in my life. So I wanted to become a monk, but then I discovered girls, and after a while, I realized, I one day I want to be married, and I can't become a monk. It's not going to work out. Um, but then over the decades, I have explored so many different forms of spirituality. I have studied and taught Sufism for maybe 3 decades. And also, I got very involved in something that's called neo-paganism, Wicca, some people know it as,
Huh?
the worship of the Earth Mother. And that is something that I studied and taught. I'm a professional tarot reader.
Mm.
Uh, I just am fascinated by all forms of spirituality, and I've really delved deeply into them. Lately, I've been very interested in Zen, and I've been doing some podcasts on that subject.
Mhm.
But yeah, yeah, I don't like to just use that word God anymore. It's so filled with so many connotations.
Sure.
So like source, spirit, maybe something like that is more appropriate. But anyway, it's just great to be here. And
Excellent. Yeah.
yeah, um, so yeah, I've been doing a lot of thinking about some of the ways that we can really help to protect ourselves and to move ourselves closer to the light. Um, uh, that word illumination seems to appear in so many different ways uh, that it's hard to say that this is not part of the spiritual experience, this concept of light. And one thing that I think is very important that people do not think about simply like decorating their home to make their home, like bringing in flowers into their home. Maybe some guys feel a little awkward buying themselves flowers, but there's nothing wrong with that, or having, if you prefer that you want a flowering plant or a cactus or something like that. I think this is very, very important that you bring nature and that you bring beauty into your home,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, to make your whole life an artwork. I didn't mention I when I was 6 years old, my dad asked me if I wanted to start studying piano. And I said, sure. He said, don't worry about it. If you don't like it, you don't have to stick with it. And well, I just took to it like a duck to water.
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought twice about, once I started, never went back, and I made my living, and I continue to do so through composing and entertaining, improvising, and so on and so forth. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
music is a big part of my life, and again, spiritually speaking, that to have beautiful music playing, and however you identify spiritual music. I know some people get a little upset when some people say, oh, well, you have to have new age music playing in the background. Well, some people like rock and roll and
Sure.
heavy metal, and well, that's fine. It's just whatever uplifts you, whatever helps to bring you closer to the light.
Yeah.
That I think that's what's most important.
Yeah. And Laurence, you're saying that you compose and everything. I know you sent me a list of music that you've composed, which I'll put into the information in the video. How would you
thank you,
describe?
Gordon.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, and people can have a listen to it. How would you describe the music that you compose? What genre are you in? I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet.
Well, I would describe it as a mixture of classical and maybe new age. At a very young age, I can remember I would reach my hands up to the piano keys because I was just a little 3-4 years old, and but I would make up little melodies, and I would hear angels singing. And still today, sometimes when I'm playing, I will hear what I call angels singing along with what I'm composing. So I just seem to have this tendency to compose music that I would, for want of a better word, is spiritual.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, I was in a new wave band, and so I play a wide variety of styles. But my greatest love is just improvising and letting whatever is inside my spirit flow, and also trying to channel whatever is trying to come through me. And that's a very delicate thing, is to be able to silence the chattering mind that's like always going on and criticizing. We criticize ourselves terribly. If there's anything that I want to convey to people is just stop talking so negatively about yourself and start talking positively when you're thinking. We were just talking, you mentioned a fantastic analogy about you need to write over like a computer disk, that we can't just erase something.
Sure.
Because it's always there on the computer disk until we write over it with something.
Yeah.
And so I try to open myself up to the spirit world, and then let that express through me, instead of like insisting that, okay, now I'm going to compose this kind of music or something like that.
So Can I? So yeah. If you want to listen to Lawrence's music, the links are down below. Can I ask you a little bit, because you've done such a lot? Okay, and I mean, I've got two words written down: Zen and Sufism. Because Zen, I've got an idea. Sufism, I don't know what it is. But what everybody's on everybody's lips at the moment is that we are in what's called the Great Awakening. We're in this process of people becoming illuminated. Okay.
Yes.
And everybody wants it to happen tomorrow. We all want to, let's have it tomorrow. Let's have it today. In fact, today.
Yes.
Yeah. What's your take on it? Where do you see mankind in terms of its evolutionary illumination?
Well, I was lucky enough to, just by accident, when I was 17 years old, I chanced upon in the library a book by a man named Rudolf Steiner. And he's the founder of the Waldorf schools. Maybe some of your viewers have heard of Waldorf education. But also this man was like a super genius. He created something called biodynamic gardening, and he was able to see. He was like a visionary with incredible psychic abilities to see way into the past and way into the future. And to him, he saw that the earth has passed through several evolutions or incarnations, even, if you will. And that he started speaking. He passed away in 1925, but towards the end of his life, he started speaking about this particular period of time as a time when there would be great change happening. And he said that people really have to prepare themselves for this change. I like to offer the example to people, like I love to travel, and but when I travel, before I go to a country, I like to, let's say a city in particular. I'll look at a map of the city. I'll try to learn a little of the language of the country. I'll learn about the culture, the do's and don'ts of being in that culture, that country. And so I'm a little prepared when the plane touches its wheels down on the tarmac. And but there are so many people who, spiritually speaking, they don't want to bother themselves with anything spiritual. So what I think is the maybe a problem or danger of what we're facing, or a lot of humans are going to be facing, is that they never did their homework about the spirit world. And when suddenly the influx of spirituality is going to start hitting the earth, they're going to be like completely confused and like, what is this? Well, I don't know what's going on. Somebody help me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I liken it to, you prepare yourself. The map is not the territory. I realize that. I can have a map. I live in Puebla, Mexico. It's not the same as walking the streets of Puebla, but still it helps me. And The same thing with learning Spanish, because they speak Spanish here. And but the problem is that there's so many people now, and especially with this new scientism, that it's almost that people are making a god out of science. The new religion is science, and that's leading them into a lot of atheism. And so in other words, you just got to prepare yourself. If you're going to run a marathon, you practice, of course, whatever. If you like to play football or swimming or whatever, you just don't jump into the water if you've never done any swimming before. So you have a teacher or a guide. I prefer the word guide. Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would not climb Mount Everest without a mountain guide with me.
For sure. I wouldn't climb Mount Everest, full stop. But,
yeah, I wouldn't go near it anyway. But
not at the moment. Not in this T-shirt, anyway. That's for sure.
Yeah, of course. And a good hat. I mean, with me, I really need some insulation. But
with a good hat, absolutely.
Yes.
As my father used to say, if you want to get ahead, get a hat.
Yeah. Hey. Your father was wise.
He was wise, yeah. Well, when he wasn't bringing me up as a Jehovah's Witness, he was wise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Laurence, tell, right, and I know this is like such a challenge, because I know, we don't want to go too much over time, but how would you describe Zen as a, something that you would study or experience? How would you describe it?
Well, for me, the attraction towards Zen, I don't approach it from a kind of orthodox point of view. I mentioned a little bit about this before. The most important thing, it's called Wushin or Mushin, depending if you're in China or Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, it's the silencing of the monkey mind, the chattering of that mind that's always going on and on, because we cannot. The point of Zen is to see reality clearly.
Okay.
It's to see clearly. And of course, that means all the senses, to hear clearly and to taste what you're eating and not just gulping down your food and so forth. A big part of it is being in the moment, but it's not just being in the moment. It's when you truly quiet the mind, then you permit yourself to experience what is really out there. And so many of us are, we have these preconceptions that we have been taught since we were kids, by our parents, by society, by the TV, by our teachers in school, and we think we know what the world is. And I'm here to say that most people have no idea what the world is and what is going on, what is really going on. So first, you need to basically shut up and open up your senses wide, and you can then begin to get a hint of, like, for instance, looking at a flower, or to truly see a flower and not just say in your mind, oh, that's a tulip, or that's a rose, and just slap on a word, a name for it. The idea is to see something like it's the first time you have ever seen it in your life. And then, oh my God, sometimes when you do that, you're like, wow, what is this? Mm-hmm. And that allows you to have a sense of awe, and awe allows the spirit world to begin to enter into you. If you have no sense of awe, it's impossible to experience the spirit world, in my opinion.
Yeah, that resonates with me tremendously. It reminds me of a story that, because Anthony de Mello talks about that very moment of when a child says, "What is that?" When the parent gives the child the name, the child instantly stops seeing it and suddenly starts seeing the name.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, absolutely. And this is something. I mean, this is what the message that I get is that, that people need to start quietening the mind, slowing down, starting to meditate, just actually working on silencing all of that noise, because we've got such a white noise. The world is white noise, isn't it? Between the media, the phones that people have, and I'm guilty of it myself quite a lot. We have a phone with us all of the time, and so we don't really have us time. We don't really have time for ourselves to let the spirit come in, to let the downloads happen when they should be happening. Yeah.
Yes, we've clogged ourselves. Rudolf Steiner spoke about the supersensible senses. In other words, that we've clogged ourselves with so many things, and some of them seem innocent. And I'm not here to pass judgment on anyone, but for instance, a lot of people have no trouble with 2-3 beers every night when they get home from work, or some people are doing drugs, some people are gambling, some people are shopaholics, workaholics, you name it. But this is distracting us from just noticing, hey, I've got a body, I've got a life. Have I checked in with my body lately? Have I noticed how I'm breathing lately? A lot of people breathe very shallow breaths, right? And they don't let the air in. I practice something called sun gazing, but that's something that requires some training. I don't recommend anyone to try it on their own without preparation. But to experience the world, and instead of clogging up the world with things that society is telling us will make us happy, like you've got to buy this car, you've got to have these clothes, you got to eat this candy bar, you've got to and the sugar is another thing, is like you've got to be drinking this new soda or pop or whatever people call it where you live, but we're clogging up all of our spiritual senses, and then we don't get to experience joy. And for me, joy is much more wonderful than just pleasure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, you can take a drug and feel a lot of pleasure, and all your problems go away and whatnot. But then tomorrow morning when you wake up, you're you've got a hangover or you're in terrible shape, it just keeps you, it's blocking you from experiencing what really is being offered to us. I think source or spirit is constantly like knocking on our door and saying, please let me in.
Come out to play. Come out to play. Yeah.
There you go. And that word play, I love that. How many people in their homes just have things that are just fun? I mean, people get so serious about their home decor, and they forget how to play. And I don't know, it could be anything from blowing bubbles to having balloons or whatever you find fun. But yes, bring into your home things that make you laugh, and laughter too is so. I mean, I love that about your shows, is that you bring in the smile, you bring in laughter, and in your educational videos, I love that. It really helps me when I'm watching those videos, because it's not all this serious kind of academic learning. When I first moved here to Mexico, I went to the finest university in Mexico City, but it's all this academic stuff, and it's not the way people actually talk.
No.
And it was such a shock for me. I thought, oh, now I know Spanish. I've been to the finest universities, and but then I realized, no. This is people have slang, idiomatic expressions, and so on and so forth. Yeah, we have to. I think if you like to watch movies, watch some comedies, laugh until your sides ache. This is healthy, and we do need to loosen up our bodies. We really are. That word uptight really has a lot of significance to it. We are very, very tense.
Sure.
And tension stops the flow. We know that in any sense, like if you get a garden hose and you just bend it in two, the water can't flow through it. And so this is the same thing with spiritual energy. If we're tightening up our bodies, if we're tightening up our minds with all these heavy thoughts and so on and so forth, we can't let the flow happen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's something that you, just to touch on a couple of points that you made, in the work that I do with people in therapy and things like that, one of the things I aim to do is to help them to get back, really is to help them to discover themselves. That what you were saying about the fact that we take on so much of this, things that aren't ours. And when you look at children, when children are born into this world, they will laugh and they will jump up in the air and they will just have fun for the sake of having fun. So we're born happy. And what happens is society and all of those structures knock the shit out of it and cover us in shit. And so we forget that, and so we go looking for happiness outside, external happiness. Like, I'll buy, you were saying, must have this car because that will make you happy, and have this house that will make you happy, and that wife will make you happy, and these pair of shoes will make you happy. And we get them and we go, oh, I'm happy, which is, you're talking about pleasure, the difference between pleasure and true joy. And so you have this pleasurable moment, and then the next day it's just like taking drugs. The next day, or alcohol, you wake up and you've got a hangover. You've got the, oh, I don't feel happy anymore. So that means I must have to go and get something else. And I think our job, which you said very nicely, is to find the happiness that's hidden inside of us, because we have it there. It's a God-given, to use the word God, source-given. It's given to us freely, and we forget about it. That's all. I think all that's happened is we've forgotten. I mean, as John Lennon said, I think a famous quote of his was that life happens while we're doing something else. And that's where we are. I think in today's world, it's let's do something else.
Wise words. Yes.
Good old John Lennon.
Oh yes. Well, we do have to go out there and just experience. Yeah, I was thinking you mentioned what kids do, like they do the tumbersaults. And I haven't done one in a while. I've got to go out there and try one today or tomorrow, because it's I mean, we are born happy, and you watch also, like the breath, you watch the way a baby breathes, how deeply and profoundly the baby will inhale and exhale, and all the emotions that like so many men, and I'm talking about men in specifically, we're taught that men don't cry, big boys don't cry,
of course.
And so what we do is we learn to repress the crying. And there was a man named Wilhelm Reich who investigated all of this, and he came up with this term orgone energy. And I believe that this term it has many. They call it vril, in martial arts they call it ki. It's just the spiritual flow of energy through the world. But yes, we tighten up the muscles. Especially men will tighten the muscles in their face. So you'll see a lot of men with very furrowed brows. They're really very, very serious. And well, you can't see my chin, but they'll hold their chin very tight. And what is all this? Well, it's basically what a little boy does when his father shouts, "Stop your belly aching, stop your crying." And so like the little boy learns to like squeeze his face, and he stops breathing, because when you start to cry, you start to and those movements of the chest. So we start inhaling deeply, and you look around yourself and you see, as you walk down the street, all these men with this permanent mask on their face. It's frozen. Their faces are literally frozen in place. I know Jung talked about the persona. That's something that's also very important to me, that I believe that in order to ascend, that in a sense, we also need to descend, in the sense of we need to explore what's there hiding inside of ourselves, because we can have the most bizarre thoughts that were put into our heads by religion. We went through the whole list before, but and then out of nowhere, suddenly they just like pop goes the weasel. There they are, and we're like, what happened? Why do I feel so nervous? Or why do I feel so guilty? Or why do I feel such shame? And it's because Well, I like to think about there's so many of these gurus that come along, and then we hear about, at first, like, they're just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Sure.
But then then we hear that they're sexually abusing their students, or stealing money from the till, um, and doing all these crazy things. I believe it's because they have spent all their lives just doing om om om, and like as John Lennon said, instead of getting out there and living life to the fullest, uh, they have never really encountered life.
Yeah.
So when they're sent from India, say, to America, the United States, they've never seen a girl in a mini skirt before. They've never seen such wealth, and they don't know how to deal with it.
Mm.
And so I think we need to look within, so that we can experience spirituality, the free flow of spirituality, because I know you have spoken about this publicly, your experience with the Jehovah Witnesses, and I was brought up in a very strict Roman Catholic home, and it's very difficult to get that programming out of yourself. I
Sure.
mean, I think you said that it's a lifelong effort. Am I right about that?
What I was saying was, if you don't have the tools to overwrite the program, they will run for all of your life.
There
All of
you
your life.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, you need the tools,
Mhm.
and that's why you should not be afraid to take on a guide. Now, back to Everest again. I'm going to listen to everything that guy has to say to me about, don't walk there, walk this way, watch out for this kind of snow, or something like that. But if he starts telling me who I should marry, or other things like that, well, I'll say that's none of your business. And
Mm.
I've hired you to be my mountain climbing guide,
Sure.
uh, and too often we get involved with people and groups that will start to tell us wonderful, helpful things, but then they start grasping for power over our lives and control over our lives. And I've been in a few groups like this where they want to control almost every aspect of your
Sure.
life,
Sure.
and then you have to learn to say no. I'm a firm believer in learning assertiveness. Uh, you have to, and for assertiveness, what do you need? You need discernment. You really need to know, how is my heart feeling?
Mm.
Um, when I'm around this person, does do I feel sad? Um, I can remember going to some church once, um, and when the pastor walked out onto the stage, I felt like I was going to vomit. I felt nauseous, and but everybody in the whole the church had their notebooks out. They were writing down every word this guy was saying, and supposedly he was an ex-rabbi who had converted to Christianity and then become a Lutheran minister. Well, long story short, somebody did their homework, investigated this guy's past, and well, he had never been ordained a Lutheran minister. He had never been born Jewish. He was never Jewish. He was never ordained a rabbi, and even worse, he was sexually molesting the young men that help with the altar and all that stuff. So uh, you know, I should have immediately listened, paid attention. I was young, you know, I was like about 19 at the time, but I should have paid attention to my gut instinct, what my heart, my body was telling me, my
Yeah.
soul
Yeah.
was trying. You know, the soul communicates in so many ways, or tries to communicate with us.
It does. It does. And I was listening to somebody talking the other day, which was really interesting. And it's what I've always noticed is that the communication that comes out it was somebody who was talking about the unconscious mind. Okay, for me, let's say source, because everything that comes through on that level for me is coming from source.
Yes.
And it's always the first voice you hear, and it's always the quietest voice that you're going to hear. And instantly our ego job is to say poo it. So it's this little whisper, but it always comes in first. And what, you know, in my therapies, I always say, what's the first thing that you're thinking of? Because that's the answer. And then after that we go, no, it can't be that, because it must be this, because I think la 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 la, and then it's all lost, you know. So that feeling, that gut feeling that you had, which is this, something's wrong. And then of course we dismiss it because we think, no, how could it be wrong when he, you know, all these people that love him and he must be all right.
Yes.
But it's that, and I think that's where we need to be now these days. The sense I get is that you were talking about quietening the mind down, silencing the monkey mind, because the monkey mind will talk you into terrible places. But when we silence and we listen, the messages are there, the answers are there, but we have to listen really well, and we have to trust the first one that comes in, that feel, that ooh, this is good, or ooh, this is not good. And normally the one we dismiss is, ooh, this is not good. That's normally the one that we go, oh, it's got to be good. Everybody else likes it.
Yeah, that's the thing. We feel such pressure that everybody else is doing it, and that's the great danger of the internet. It's this wonderful tool that we have that we can really use in wonderful ways, but it's also so seductive that it pulls people into playing these video games ad nauseum. They will play 4-5 hours, and there's no room for anything else in their lives. They'll shut out their relationship with their wives. They won't, or whoever their partner is. And then that's another thing. We need to talk to our families. And we need to have fun with our families. Going on picnics, whatever it may be. We need to enjoy the presence of another human being. I mean, the fact that there is another person that loves us is so precious, and we so easily forget this, and we just so easily take this for granted. Oh yeah, I know she loves me, and that's and the monkey mind is going on. So what do we need to buy from the internet today? Use my credit card to buy this or that, and we're forgetting about the true jewels, the treasures that we do have in our home, if it be our children, our spouse, our partners, our friends. And again, even ourselves, like I was saying before, we are so quick, if we make a mistake, to say, "Oh, you fool, or you idiot! How could you be so stupid?" Uh, we talk to ourselves like, we would talk to our worst enemy.
Yet we would never, I find people would never say what they say to themselves to anybody else. They reserve it just for themselves, and they could be so horrible.
It's a private little horror show. Yeah,
absolutely,
you're right.
It is. Listen, Laurence, I'm conscious of the time because I think we've chatted for about maybe a good 50 minutes, so I might split this in two. But why don't we bring this to an end? And then, I have a feeling that we could talk for about 24 hours. That's the feeling that I have. Yeah. But obviously we've got to take into account the audience and everything like that. So why don't we bring this to an end, and then going forward we'll have another chat and maybe deep dive into some more stuff. Yeah.
I would love to do that. I really would. Yes.
Lovely. Well, Laurence, it's been a real pleasure listening to you and your words of wisdom and your calmness and everything like that. You're very zen. You're very zen.
Yeah. It's an honor and it's a pleasure to be talking to you, Gordon. It really is.
Jolly good, and I'd like to do more of it. So, Laurence, we'll end it there. Just as a reminder, if you want to listen to Laurence's music, it's down in the information on the video as well. Yeah. And we'll hope to see Laurence again in the future.
I hope so. Bye-bye.